Hungry this morning, man.
Hey, here we go, man. So we are here, man. The Wealthy, Healthy, Happy Show with your host, ERGJ, man. We are going through the 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth by John Maxwell. And we're talking about growing, man. We're talking about growing on purpose. And today, we're actually saying it's not by accident that you're going to grow, man. It's going to be by intention.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Beatles is in the building.
What's going on, Wealthy, Healthy, Happy people? This is Mr. Beatles, Mr. Wealthy, Healthy, Happy, your neighborhood financial planner and small business developer. I am loving what we are doing today. Loving it. Mr. Dotan, what's up?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Dalton Eleazar. I'm a certified coach with the John Maxwell team. And I'm happy to be here once again this morning to join in this conversation on how to transition to intentional growth. I guess that's where we're starting from. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Making a transition from accidental growth to intentional growth, man. So just to kind of recap, man, we've go over the past couple of days, we've been going over the 8 growth gap traps. The 8 growth gap traps, kind of hard to say it 3 times fast, but traps, man, were the assumption gap, the knowledge gap, the timing gap, the mistake gap, the perfection gap, the inspiration gap, the comparison gap, and the expectation gap. And so hopefully you've been tracking along with us. If not, you can always pick up the replays because we got to keep moving forward, man. We got to get on to the next thing with this thing called growth. And that's what we are today, man. We're talking about making a transition. And so as we move forward with this process, we wanted to move from understanding the growth gaps to now some things that we can do in order to make the transition. If we find ourselves relying on circumstance and we find ourselves trying to just trying to let life happen, now we can make life happen. In other words, instead of trying to wait on life to happen, we can make life happen because we can be intentional in our growth. And so one of the first things that we want to do is we want to recognize where we are. So we got to ask the big question now. And those big questions that they represent, that were represented in the book, it said, 1, where do you want to go in life? 2, what direction do you want to go? And 3, what's the farthest you can imagine going? So I think it'd be good for us to talk about each one of these questions because they represent a different portion of movement. They represent a different portion of intention. So first, where do you want to go in life? Now, we've talked about this over other parts of our show when we had The Alchemist and we had The Strange Secret that we were going through. What do you want? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go in life? Mr. Beatles.
These are great questions to ask because what it is causing you to do is become focused. It's because those questions are asking you to be present. In order for you to get from here to California in the car, guess what you have to do? You got to put the coordinates in. And the GPS is going to ask you 2 questions. It's going to ask you, where are you currently? And where do you want to go? 2 questions to ask yourself. Same thing for your mind. In order for you to attract the stuff that you want in life, you have to ask yourself, where am I now? And then tell your mind, this is where I want to go. And in doing so, now the earth starts conspiring, like we saw in The Alchemist. The earth starts conspiring when you really want a thing. It starts conspiring and showing you how to get to from where you are to where you want to be. Huge questions to ask. That question opens up the doors of possibility. You just have to have the courage to ask the question, where am I now? Am I currently present? And where do I want to go? Mr. Dotan.
Yeah, where do you want to go in life? It's a big question, and it's one many people will struggle with because people will normally be faced with so many options of where they want to go in life. And it comes down to you having the clarity about where you really ought to go in life and not where you think you should go in life, because those are 2 different things. Being clear on where you ought to be in life will help you simplify your life so that you are not trapped into you doing so many things at the same time, because that's one of the ways in which some people may get excited with this fact that, oh, yeah, I now have a great resource. I have something that can guide me in the way I need to go in life. But then they are faced with so many options they've taken on so many things at the same time all of a sudden, and then they try to do all of them at the same time, and before they realize it, they become overwhelmed, and then they drop it because they become overwhelmed, and they are back to square one. And so that's where it becomes very necessary when you're asking yourself this big question of where do I want to go in life. You should be very clear on where you ought to be going in life, not where you think you should be going in life. And that goes back to what we tried to cover up, I think, yesterday, about even the comparison gap. Because if you're asking yourself that question on the premise that you are comparing yourself with another person, then you end up answering that question on the fact that you think you should be going this way because you want to be like someone else, not that you ought to be going this way because this is how you've been made. This is what your purpose is. And this is what you should be pursuing in life. So that's my take on that. Be clear on where you ought to go in life. You have to ask yourself that question, the big why. You need to understand your why. Why am I doing this? If you want to be clear on that. Why? So, for example, I want to be a millionaire. Why do you want to be a millionaire? Is it because Mr. X has now been successful financially and you also want to be like Mr. X? Or there's a bigger reason behind why you think you should be a millionaire, for example. And if you are able to get that right, then every other thing that we'll be covering will just fall in place, so to speak.
Yeah, and here's the deal, guys, man. I find in the whole in the aspect of everyone that I coach and everyone that I probably should be coaching, first, you got to ask yourself the right questions in order to get the right answer. Let me say it again. You got to ask yourself the right questions in order for you to get the right answer. We know that if you ask, then you shall receive. But here's the thing: are you asking the right questions? Yeah. And so, bringing clarity on the direction that you want to go, where you ultimately want to be, you don't necessarily have to ask how you're going to get there. All you need to know is where you want to go, and then start, as I said in the last part, what's the furthest that you can imagine going. So I want you to think about right now your definite major purpose. I want you to think about this place where you want to be or where you're going in life. And hopefully everyone that we're connected to right now knows where they want to go. If not, start there. Where do I want to go? Then start the direction that I want to go with. If you've seen in your life right now that you're not going in the direction that you want to go, you can change direction overnight. You can't necessarily change destination, but you can change the direction of your life right now. And you can decide that I want to go in a different direction. If you're in debt right now and you want to be debt free, you can decide right now that I want to be debt free. If you are overweight and you want to get to the weight that you want to be, you can decide right now that you can get to the weight that you want to be. But it takes a decision. It takes you asking, man, where do I want to go? But then ask yourself this. You said, what's the furthest you can imagine going? So after you've decided where you want to go, after you decided the direction you want to go, now ask yourself, how far can I really see on this journey? Because here's the deal. As you go further, you'll be able to see further. But how far can you see right now as it relates to where you want to go? How far can you imagine yourself right now as it relates to where you want to go? Mr. Beatles.
That's a scary thought, man. Look, it is a scary thought. I did the exercise going into the new year, and it took me a few days to muster up the courage to put out to the universe what I really wanted over the next 5 years, and what I wanted that to start looking like in 2016, and why I wanted it, because it was so big. And I had to work myself up to actually believing it enough that I could write it down on paper without it being wishful thinking, And so when you say I want $15 million in the bank, cash money in the next 5 years, I want $3 million to start showing up in year 1, 2016. And I want to be able to do this so that I can impact not only my family, but also the community, also the community around me. I want to do that by adding service products to the marketplace. I want to do that, God, but I don't have I don't know if I have a $3 million service right now. I don't know if I have a $3 million product right now, but I believe that I'm supposed to have $3 million that comes in 2016, and consecutively over the next 5 years, that's supposed to come into my bank account. I don't know how that's going to happen. But it just kept hitting my spirit. And so it took me 2-3 days before I could actually get my entire mission statement out. Have the courage enough to say, look, this is what I want. Is big. And I can't wrap my hands around it. I could wrap my hands around $40 an hour, $50 an hour. I can wrap my mind around that. But this big, so big that I can't, the elephant, I don't know how to do that. And so again, it's about having the courage. It's about stretching yourself. And everybody on this call, I think that's what we're doing. We are stretching ourselves, and you have to have the courage to do that. And in doing that, you'll find yourself attracting more.
And here's the deal, guys. I want to help you stretch your mind right now. Because obviously this is the Wealthy, Healthy, Happy show, and I'm big into the wealthy part of the wealthy.
Right, right.
And here's the deal, man. You ask yourself, and here's what I learned from my mentor, because many of us want to earn more money, right? And many of us we're in this space, and we might be like, okay, I got this job, and this is all that they pay. And sometimes that's what we say to ourselves. This is all the job pay. I got to find another job so I can make more money. But the reality is that's not all the job pays. That's all the job pays you. I want you to think about right now, if let's just say you make $40,000 a year, right? Is it possible for you to make $40,000 a month? I'm stretching your thinking right now just by asking that question. Say you made $40,000 a year. Is it possible for you to make $40,000 a month? Now, why do you think about that? Because if you think about $40,000 a month, now you're thinking about ways that you can generate $40,000 a month. You recognize that, man, what I'm doing now to make $40,000 a year, I got to go 10x. I got to go 12x. I got to go 15x in order to make $40,000 a month. Now, is it possible? Absolutely. We see people make all types of money.
Crazy money.
Right.
I've seen somebody making $17,000 a day.
But a lot of times what we say is yes, it's possible. But then you got to ask, is it possible for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then we got to ask, is it possible for me? Yeah, I know it's possible. But now, is it possible for me? So whatever your big dream is, whatever your goal is, I know I want you to ask yourself, is it possible? But then I want you to ask yourself, is it possible for me? Mr. Go Time.
Yeah. Is it possible for me? It has to do with stretching your mind. I just want to circle back onto that. So this book here was I call it my dream book. And in 1989 was when I decided to stretch my mind just by thinking far into the future. I think it was 1 year to my graduation or 2 years to my graduation from the university, my first degree. And I can only see so much into the future. In any case, I decided to go through that exercise of saying, how far can I see into the future? And I wrote certain things down. And I never came across this book again until September of 2014. And it was so shocking to me when I went through everything that all that I'd written in this book from back in 1989, everything except one had come to pass.
Yep, that's how it works.
Everything except one had come to pass. I was really, really shocked. And it took me to the point in life where, when we're talking about success and significance, everything I wrote in this book took me up to the milestone of how I see myself achieving personal success. So in April of 2015, when I went for a seminar where I had the opportunity of then reevaluating my long-term vision again, it was then a shift from personal success to that of significance, in the sense that how do I want to make a difference in the life of others? And again, as we're talking about stretching our mind, we went through that exercise of thinking really into the future to say, having clarity, where do I see myself in the next 20 years? So it's about the ability of you simplifying and pointing on something, asking yourself the question that if money is not a factor, what would I rather still be doing? If I have just 6 months left to live, what is that one thing I'll rather focus on? You know, it narrowed us down to that level of thinking. And then why am I doing this? What's the bigger motivation? Why exactly am I doing this? So I think if people are able to take similar approach in thinking and answering these questions, it will really narrow you down to what you should be focusing on in life. And then it's just a matter of you now scaling it, as you've tried to explain, that, for example, if it's X amount of dollars you've been earning in a year, it is possible to earn that in a day or even in 1 hour. It's just a matter of thinking creatively of how you can scale that and looking for resources that you can leverage to make it happen, bringing it backwards.
Man, absolutely, man. So expand your mind. Take the time first to think. Man, so many people do not take the time throughout their whole day to just simply think. Their life is on autopilot. Their life is on routine. Their life is on schedule. And what we're saying is you got to get off schedule. You got to schedule in time to think and plan out your life. I know Britt's here. Britt has actually done a 2016 life plan. This is a person who's saying, I'm living my life on purpose. And I want to ask you, you're into 2016 now. You are into the law of intentionality. Have you taken control of your life by telling your life where you want it to be and how far you want it to go? All right, let's move on to the next thing. We can talk about this all day. I mean, this is getting stuff. This is some stuff right here. You got to ask the big question, but you got to ask the big question now. See, here's the deal, guys. Don't put it off to later. Don't say I'm gonna do it when I get home. Don't say, oh, I'm gonna wait till tonight when I get off work. I'm telling you, man, you need to take your break right now. You need to maybe take a stop at the gas station. You need to write this thing down now. Your big question, ask that big question and answer it. Have the courage to answer the question yourself. Don't look for the answers outside. Answer them for your life, for yourself right now.
Right now.
So obviously the next step is you got to do it now. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, you got to do it now. I mean, you really got to decide that you're going to do something about your life right now. Mr. Beatles.
Oh, man. Right now was that good one. Right now is going to make sure that things are lining up for you the way that you have intended them to. And what I mean by that is there's a mentor that I listen to all the time. Her name is Abraham Hicks, and she talks about the law of attraction. She also talks about divine timing. And in divine timing, this is what happens, right? You think of a thing. Let's just say it's a parking spot. All right, so you're getting ready to go to the grocery store, and in your mind, you were believing that you're going to get the parking spot up front. It's 5 o'clock, rush hour time. Kids are getting off the bus. You always get the parking spot in the back of the parking lot. But this time, you have thought in your mind, I'm getting ready to leave right now because I'm getting a great parking space. I'm getting ready to get a great deal when I go into the grocery store. I'm leaving right now. Having the inspiration to have that thing and then leave, and then when you get to the grocery store, all of a sudden a car is pulling out just as you were pulling in, right in the front, just as you intended. Well, the reason why you got the parking spot right up front is because when you decided that you were going to leave the house to go to the grocery store because you wanted the great parking spot, it was all about divine timing. And so very small example of things that we can do on a big scale. So just like when you get the inspiration to call somebody and you ignore that inspiration, well, that call that you should have made might have been the deal that you needed in order for somebody to write the check, in order for you to have the payout at the end of the month, or for you to sell your product or share your idea. It's about timing. So when you are inspired to do something, do it while you are in the moment, because you will get the best results. Mr. Dotan.
Yeah, do it now. Just do it now. That's it. So I think in addition to what you've said, doing it now also helps in the sense that you help to gain momentum, and that's really what makes a difference. We need that momentum to get things going in order for us to get on track on what we need to do concerning our personal growth, because it's not just going to happen. You need to keep moving and not try to figure out how things will line up. Just believe that you are moving in the right direction. It's not going to be perfect. Yes, you will be faced with obstacles, but just keep moving. Just keep moving and say that irrespective of whatever obstacle I am faced with, I am going to be unstoppable on this. Nothing will stop me on this. I just keep moving. I just keep moving, because you need that momentum in order to be able to make certain changes, and in order for you to be able to have the mind shift that you require in order for you to grow personally. So John Maxwell was saying something. I was listening to his audiobook earlier on the intentional growth thing. He said, do you know that something you put your mind on, I do it consistently for a year without looking back, certain things happen in your thinking right there and then. So much so that you are looking forward to the next day. You started out being so, apprehensive about what this is going to look like, but you just keep moving on. Whether it's the weight loss thing, you just keep doing it, irrespective of the fact that some days you fell behind, some days you didn't really feel like it, but you just kept pushing on, and you're able to consistently do that for a year. After a year, you will no longer be the same person. Why? Because in that period of time, you've actually grown. And once you've grown, there's a different mindset that comes with that now looks forward even to the next day, and there's excitement and enthusiasm. So just do it now and keep moving.
Absolutely. And so you got to ask the big questions now. You got to do it now. And you also have to face the fear factor. So here's the deal, guys. We all have faith and we all have fear. And so here are the things, man. So we got a couple of fear factors that, maybe you impacts you right now, right? Do you have the fear of failure? Do you have the fear of trading security for the unknown, or fear of the unknown? Do you have the fear of being overextended financially? Do you have the fear of what others will say or think? Or do you have the fear that success will alienate your peers? These are fears that you may recognize, but then the question is, do you have the faith to overcome? And so you got to be in a place where you're going to feed your faith and starve your fear. We all have fears, but the successful people, the people that are growing, are saying they're not going to let fear stop them. They're going to let faith fuel them. Let me say that again. They're saying that I'm not going to let fear stop me. I'm going to let my faith fuel me. Mr. Beatles.
Fuel and fuel. That's all you need. Faith and fuel is faith and fuel. Fueling your faith is all you need. But you have to recognize that that fear is false evidence appearing real. Are the stories, like Will Smith says in After Earth. Fear are the stories that we tell ourselves, and we tell ourselves stories about things that have not happened yet. That's what fear is. We tell ourselves stories about things that have not happened yet. And we tell it with such clarity. We tell it with such passion and emotion that we end up believing it. And so we see failure around the corner. And so we won't start the business. We see failure around the corner, or shortcomings around the corner, so we won't write the book. We see that we see pain and muscle ache around the corner, so you don't go to the gym. You just won't work out. You just won't do a thing because you might not necessarily be good at it. And we've told ourselves these stories so often that we end up believing it, and then we live this mediocre life. But again, not the folks that are on this call right now, not the people that are on this show. The people on this show are willing to face their fears. And because you're willing to face your fear, because you're willing to get up early, or you're willing to stay up late, or you're willing to go and listen to this replay, the reason why you're doing that is because you want more in life. Your expectation is that you're going to have courage, and you're going to stand up, and you're going to do what it's called in order for you to be successful. Mr. Dope Top.
Yeah, fear, face, false evidence appearing real.
Oh.
But do you also know that fear could mean face everything and rise? So,
Okay.
so face everything and rise, right?
Rise.
So face what you need to conquer and face it head on. Be ruthless about it. I like this one, which says fear of trading security of the unknown. Is that not the reason why 80% of the population are still stuck in their job?
Absolutely.
Not wanting to trade the security of a paycheck to paycheck, which we now know in these days is no longer secure. There's nothing like job security, right? Not willing to let go of the paycheck to paycheck thing so that they can have true freedom in time and money. You know, Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant thing, the left quadrant, which is about security, and the right quadrant, which is about financial freedom of time and money.
Yeah.
The only time you have security is when you are able to walk away from something that you already have. If you are not able to walk away from what you already have, that thing has mastered you. But if you are able to walk away from what you have, then you've mastered that thing. And that's what it takes if you have to grow. You must be willing to let go of what you're already familiar with, because that's your comfort zone. You must be ready to jump out from your comfort zone into the courage zone, which is where growth happens. So face it head on. Face everything and rise. That's how to kill the fear factor.
So here's the deal, guys. I think it's important that we pay attention to what's going on in the chat, right? So we got a conversation going on about, is it possible to become a millionaire overnight? Is it possible for your dream to to happen in a short amount of time? And I talk about this and how rich people think versus poor people think. And I think it's important that we talk about this. It's in the chat, so we might as well talk about it. So we have some people saying, hey, it's not possible to get $5 million in the next month. You got to wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And I would say that what's possible for you is what you believe, right? I know we want to say you want to be realistic, but your realism comes through your faith, and your faith can push you to things that are unlikely for other people. And I teach this message that you only have to strike oil once. Who says that you won't strike oil tomorrow? Who says that you won't strike oil in a week? Who says that you won't strike oil in a month? You only have to strike oil once to be rich. So the question is, when will you strike? That's what you don't know. But what you do know is that you can keep digging. Mr. B, you want to say anything about this? Because it's
oh man, this is good. I mean, this is such it is. It's such a good topic because Laura has been Laura's this you can tell that this is a passionate subject for her, and that's great, and that's what this show is about, right? And so two things that stuck out to me today was be realistic. And when most people say be realistic, what I hear them really saying is that you kind of have to focus on what you what you've created today. You can only manage what's in the account today. So if you only got $2 in the bank account, there's no real reason for you to think that you can have 10,000 by the end of the month, because that's not realistic. But in my mind, I think realistic is about what your mind can believe. Whatever that is for you, whatever your mind can create and make real, that becomes realistic for you. Might not necessarily be realistic for your neighbor because of where they are in life. But if you believe a thing is possible, just like Bill Gates said, that I believe that there is going to be a computer in every single home in the world. How does he do that without seeing it in his mind first? Because it hadn't happened. It's crazy to think that you're going to have this little product that you're making right now is going to be in every home in the world. Like not in Georgia, not in Atlanta, but the world, Craig. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot. And so when we think about success and we think about overnight successes, we also have to think that what we've created, what happens today, took us a lifetime to create. Let me say that again. What we create today took us a lifetime to create. So what you have right now in the moment, it took you a lifetime to get there. And so it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just win the lottery overnight. You happen to be 35, 36, 40, 50, 19 when you win the lottery, but it took you a lifetime to get to that moment. Now, what you do with that moment is completely on you, but what your mind can believe, you can achieve.
Mr. Dotan.
What your mind believes you can achieve. That's true. It's all about what your mental muscle or your mind muscle is. If you allow that to grow and expand, then it's possible. Wherever you see in your mind, it's possible. If you cannot yet see it in your mind, maybe you want to take yourself to that point where you're able to envision it within you, then it is possible once you can see it in your mind. And so for each person, it's different for each one of us in terms of what our capacity is. But the truth is that anything is possible. So on the sensitivity around the get rich scheme thing, if you are going out to look for get rich schemes, maybe that's not a good idea. But the truth also is that maybe you're already long overdue for what is rightfully yours.
Woo!
That's hey.
So,
hey.
And so the God of the universe is saying, why have you stayed so long in this one spot? Come on, move.
Yeah.
If that's your own situation, then get ready for a 24-hour miracle. Because, the truth is that if you've long overstayed, what's
that was good. That was
then
good.
You may wake up the next morning becoming a totally different person that you never imagined before. But the truth is that at some point, you would have seen it in your mind. And then whatever you see in your mind, then it's possible. It is possible. It's happened before. You will not be an exception.
So just maybe
a stack right now, buddy.
Maybe
you a rack.
So everybody that's here right now, man, that's paying attention, that's tuned in to the law of intentionality, not accident.
Turned on.
I want you in the comments to say that just maybe I'm long overdue. Just put that in the comments below. I'm long overdue. I'm long overdue. You've been waiting a whole lifetime to get to this moment, and you're long overdue for your just rewards. Because the universe has been waiting for you to get out of your own way. I'm long overdue. Hey,
oh man, that is so
why
good.
we do what we do, because this show has been long overdue.
Man, y'all about to make me cry, man.
Long overdue. So we hit you every day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. We can keep this thing going tomorrow, man. We got to pick up on going from accidental to intentional tomorrow. We still are in this phase, and we're not going to rush the process. We decided that we're not going to rush the process. We're going to go as fast or as slow as you want us to go. So the 15 laws of invaluable growth, that's what we're going through, the book by John Maxwell. Continue to follow us at www.wealthyhealthyhappy.net. That's where you can keep up if you are behind, if it's your first time here. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., this is where we're at. We're in the building. So any day. I'm ERGJ, certified financial educator, man. This is our time. Mr. Beatles, if you want to sign us out.
Man, make sure, ladies and gentlemen, this was a power-packed show. And if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that needs a little bit of this, make sure that you send them to wealthyhealthyhappy.net. I will make sure that I have this one posted on the website this morning. And make sure that you share this with somebody else so they can be back here tomorrow to get a dose of that good stuff, that dose of what they need. We will continue to go through chapter 1. We are almost done and finished. And but we're gonna take our time, man. We're gonna be wealthy, we're gonna be healthy, we're going to be happy, and we are going to be out.
Hey, you guys have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow.